Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to Gillian Robertson up against Piera Rodriguez this weekend. She is undefeated, but there are levels to this game. She's fairly still new in the UFC. Are you here to show her just how significant these levels are?
Exactly. I want to show her how those levels are, and exactly. She hasn't really won against grapplers like me. She hasn't felt this kind of pressure, and I feel like it's going to be a completely different world once we're touching each other, and she's really going to feel it on Saturday night.
You have your last outing was in grappling, right? A win over Rose Namajunas. You've beaten so many of the top names in women's MMA in grappling. How good does that feel in terms of your confidence as you return to the octagon?
It definitely feels good, but I feel like I separate the two a lot. It's just grappling me. MMA is completely different. And obviously with a win over Rose, I'm extremely happy, but it's a completely different world. So I'm just excited to show what I can do in this division in the UFC.
You're also coming off of a stoppage victory in MMA as well. So does it matter to you whether you're coming off a win or a loss? Does it give you that extra kick in your step when you head into a fight?
Not at all. I just look at what's in front of me. So I don't think about the past at all, what just happened, or like if it's a win or a loss or whatever. I just look at what's gonna happen this weekend and just know that's gonna be something great.
Is Miss Rodriguez is the likelihood is she getting submitted here?
I think the likelihood's high. I feel like every fight I go into it, I say I want to work on my ground and pound. I really want to show like what I've been working on. I want to be able to get a TKO, but these girls keep on falling into my choke, so I expect that to happen again.
She's got a couple of wins in the UFC, but no finishes. How difficult is it to put people away in this business in the top level in the octagon?
It's definitely difficult, but it's all I go in there to do. I want to say I have one decision win in the UFC, and the rest of them are finishes. So yeah, it's my game plan. I'm not trying to fight 15 minutes. I'm not trying to do all that. I'm just trying to get in and out, get paid quick as possible.
What win are you most pleased with in your career, whether it be in grappling or MMA?
Honestly, probably the win that I'm most pleased with is my TKO over Sarah Froda. And it doesn't have to do with the performance as much as it had to do with the arena. It was the first time I got to perform in Canada, and just having the crowd behind you, all that energy there, it was absolutely insane. And I'll never forget that moment.
What are your thoughts on the division at the moment? The way it stacks up. Does it intrigue you? We've had a couple of changing of hands of the title in the last couple of years. It seems to be kind of open at the top. What are your thoughts?
Exactly that. It seems to be very open. I want to say the strawweight title is the only one that's been like bouncing around a lot. Obviously, Valentina just lost her title, but she held that for what 10 defenses. She was just back to back to back. Same with Amanda, back to back to back defenses. They're just both so dominant in their divisions, but you don't really see that standout person yet in the 115 division. I just hope that can be me.
You've got an awful lot of experience for like you're pretty young, 27. Do you think you're getting better at reaching your prime? Is that still ahead of you?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm just coming into my prime, actually. It's funny with this matchup, everybody's saying, "Oh, you're the old vet and everything." I'm like, she's older than me, guys. Like, do you not realize? It's just
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience. I've been in the UFC since I was 22. All my fights are in the UFC pretty much. I had 5 pro fights outside of the UFC. So I definitely think that it was a long learning process trying to figure out everything for my game. But it was on the biggest stage in the world. So now I feel like I'm just coming into my own, coming into my prime, and you guys will really see something spectacular over the next couple years.
How pleased are you with that win over Molly McCann that you were able to finish her, that she kind of became one of the biggest stars maybe in women's MMA the last couple of years?
I guess I wish I could do it now. I wish I had that matchup when she had all the hype behind her, so I could take some of it. But obviously, I'm so proud of her for all that she's done too. She's become an absolute superstar, and I absolutely love Molly as a human. Probably one of the most genuine people I've fought.
And is there any that you'd like to get back? Because maybe that they happen when you were like young or during COVID. Like if you could get one back in your career, which would you like another crack at?
All of them. I think that I don't think any of the girls who beat me are necessarily better fighters than me. I think they just showed up that night. They showed up better than me that night, and they did enough to get the win. But I think that any of the girls that I fought are still very winnable matchups for me.
Having grappled with Rose and it going pretty well. Of course, if you meet her in MMA, it means things are going really well for you, right? But do you feel like a part of you that could happen one day, that's meant to happen, that you guys are supposed to meet in MMA?
I absolutely feel like that could happen one day. Probably within the next couple of years, honestly. But and everybody always talks to me, oh, did you get so much confidence? You got to sub the champ. And the only thing that I really learned from that is if you see it, oh my gosh, my phone, sorry. Like if you see at the very beginning, she's just doing these feints and she looks so fast. And that's all I got out of that is she's extremely fast. That's that championship level, that championship mindset. And it's like, it's something that I want to attain as well.
Do you have a strategy in terms of the rankings and in terms of getting the world title?
I guess after this fight, I want to start looking at top 15, top 10, and just slowly work my way up, take the fights they offer me. But I would definitely want someone ranked after this one.
What's it like for you, having been in the UFC since 22? Your day-to-day life, because of the hair, you're probably one of the most recognizable fighters in the whole business. When you go out to the store and everything, like, what is life like for you as a UFC fighter? Are people generally pretty nice and they have good things to say about what you've achieved?
Okay, everybody's always nice. I don't think I'm that huge of a star yet, though. So I'm like, walking through the supermarket isn't necessarily difficult. But yeah, I guess life isn't really too different. I get recognized every once in a while, but I just really do what I love to do. Go to the gym every day. I'm at the gym like 5 hours a day and usually at home sleeping after that. So it's like there's not really much time in the day where I'm out doing things either.
Is there someone in this division who you respect more than anyone else in terms of like the way that they've done it? I always like to ask, who is the gold standard in terms of the person that inside and outside of the octagon just is doing everything right?
I think it's hard to say in this division because the belt has been tossed up so much. It's hard to see someone who's doing it just right. If like Amanda Nunes is someone that I've looked up to. I knew her when I trained with her at ATT, and just being around her, seeing who she is as a person, like you said, inside and outside the octagon, everything that she does shows why she's been the double champ for so long. So she's someone that I've definitely looked up to, but not in my division, obviously.
What's been the most exciting thing to happen this year? There's been so much going on. I think Izzy over the weekend was one of those moments that we look back on in years to come. What moment has really stood out for you the most this year?
I guess Alexa just really capitalizing on that moment, taking Valentina's back. I think she was losing the fight other than that, and then just saw her opening and took it. And you got to commend her for that, because walking into that fight, everybody thought she was losing but her.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're going to wrap up with a little quick fire about your UFC colleagues, if that's okay with you. So we're going to stick to the girls. I think it's probably more interesting. Who is the hardest hitter pound for pound?
I think that's obviously Amanda. She has so much confidence in that hand. She just puts girls down.
No one's ever said anything different, to be fair. Best wrestler?
Best wrestler? She just came back into play, but I'll throw it at Tatiana Suarez.
Who's got the best hands?
The best hands? I want to say Joanna.
Who is the funniest?
The funniest. Molly McCann right there. This is why she's the star.
Who is the most annoying?
How do I have to say this?
You can pass if you
I
want.
don't know. The most annoying. I'm trying to think. I don't know. A lot of times when I'm fighting a girl, I think she's annoying. So I'm like usually who I'm matched up with. I'm like looking at their Instagram. I'm like, oh, she's doing this. But I don't have a specific name for that one.
Makes sense. Who would you most like to have dinner with in the UFC?
In the UFC, oh gosh. Oh, you put me on the spot here. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of these people. It's like I'm friends with like Molly McCann. I absolutely love I've had dinner with her though. I absolutely love her. Amanda, I absolutely admire more than anything else. Hannah Goldie is my best friend, so dinner anytime. I'm like, there's a handful of these girls that they're all just such genuine souls. They're such good people. I like the UFC has a lot of good talent.
Who's the best dressed?
Best dressed? I actually wouldn't know how to answer that one, honestly. I'm not sure. We're always stuck in Venom.
What about the guys then, maybe with the suits and all that stuff?
I want to say Izzy. He's usually coming pretty fresh. Same with Dustin Poirier. He's usually got some pretty fresh fits.
Who's the best looking fighter in the UFC?
The best looking fighter in the UFC. Um, Going through it. I'll say Mackenzie Dern. She's gorgeous.
And who has the best fight IQ?
Best fight IQ. Are we talking about guys or girls? I'm like,
Up to you.
For guys, I want to say John Jones. I think there's no one smarter than him. Just obviously the way he went into the Cyril Gane fight, like just pinpointed everything, picked it apart, and made it look simple.
Yeah, amazing. Who, in your opinion, who would you most like by your side in a street fight?
Let's go with Masvidal. He seems ready for a street fight anytime.
And who's the most interesting male fighter?
Most interesting male fighter. By their style or who they are?
Up to you, however you interpret it, like interesting in the way they fight or their character.
I would say their character would be Tony Ferguson, but the way they fight, I think the most interesting would be Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, cool answer. And what about the most interesting female fighter?
Most interesting female fighter. I feel like I'm a bigger fan of the guys than the girls. I'm like all these things. I'm trying to think of the girls. I can't think of answers. Most interesting female fighter. I'd have to say Amanda too, just because how she she is the most like down to earth, wholesome person. But you see her in the cage and she's a killer.
Who would be your dream fight in any weight class, past or present?
I'd have to say what I just got on the grappling scene, Rose. I'm like, literally, I've looked up to her since I was 16. She was in the Ultimate Fighter and I was on the amateur scene, you know? So I was looking up to her. She was doing flying arm bars in Invicta. She in the Ultimate Fighter, she got like 3 subs off her back, and I was a jiu-jitsu girl coming into this. So it would just be an honor to share the cage with her. I really look up to her so much.
That's so cool. Yeah, hope we get to see it one day. And I just finally wanted to ask you about Weili. Is she the most talented? Is the most talented fighter the one holding the belt right now? Because I guess it's hard to say. Like, how good is Weili in your opinion?
She's definitely good. Obviously, she's elite and she's had the belt twice for a reason. But I definitely think she has holes in her games. I think she almost uses her athleticism to get out of some situations where it's like I feel like I would be able to capitalize on. I think that it would be an ideal matchup for me, honestly. But yeah, she's definitely very accomplished, definitely very her striking's very good and her wrestling's very good, but I think she has a lot of holes in her ground game.
It's going to be a very exciting division over the next few years. Can't wait to see what you do this weekend and beyond. It's a pleasure. Thanks, Gillian. I appreciate it.
It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.